So Sean, you weren't here, but I tried to explain it to you. We're doing Raptors, Nets, Knicks, Sixers, and Celtics trade talks.
Okay.
All right.
I only came up with one for Sixers, Nats, Knicks. I hope that's okay.
Oh, that is a-okay
You did.
because
I didn't come up. Yeah. I'm gonna be more of a reactor.
my Celtics trade is the best one, so we're gonna do that last. We'll do the Knicks first because that's my favorite one, but
Okay.
it makes no sense.
I have the most boring. I came up with a boring trade for Brian and Lauren the other day, but this one's like my
one's
magnum
worse?
opus of boring
Oh.
trades.
All right, let's hear it.
The Knicks Mavs. It's a straight up 1-for-1 player trade. Taj Gibson for DeLon Wright.
Oh no.
Taj Gibson.
What's his contract? Isn't his contract kind of?
So-
It's like 15, I
Taj
think, but it's
is
expiring, right?
expiring. No. That's a Bobby.
Okay.
Taj
Yeah,
is
Portis.
1 year, 9 mil expiring, 9.4, and DeLon is 2 for 9. So Knicks, I think take it because honestly, DeLon Wright is probably their starting point guard right away by a large margin, which is
crazy.
really sad to say, but like it's him or Dennis or Frank.
Mhm.
So, and then for Taj, plus they have a million centers they don't know what to do with, and then like Taj is just an expiring for the Mavs who can like play some spot gap minutes with Powell out. So that's just the whole, and he's like a
Yeah.
vet.
Yeah.
So pretty boring,
I mean,
but
it's boring, but
I-
it's actually
Yeah.
better than mine because
Oh, there you go.
I went way too biased on this and way too homerish.
I did try to get Frank. I'm assuming you.
No,
found a way to get Frank.
I would want to, but my
just didn't see anything that
my
made
signed
sense.
Dennis Smith Jr. jersey sitting behind me was screaming at me when I was writing
Yeah.
this. So I
I
went
love
ahead.
it.
I went ahead and did in J Jack. Y'all are gonna hate this because y'all are draft nuts, but I did J Jackson 31 for Dennis Smith.
Yeah, I hate it, but,
What
I do
are
love
we
that.
doing there? What are we
I
doing?
do love that. I do love Dennis Smith, though, so I also love it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I hate
Yeah.
it.
If there's a world in which we can get him back for pretty much nothing because that's what they value him at. I mean, I would be fine with that because I think if he can come back and obviously he's with those guys that he already has a relationship with, he's back with Dorian Finney-Smith, like his guy. I mean, I feel like he would be. I'd like to think that he'd be open to the idea of kind of coming back here. I don't know, like I don't feel like that's a stretch. And so like I would be open to it and just to like see how it goes. I don't think the expectation would be super high. So I mean, I would be open to it. I would prefer to not give up 31 because yes, I am obsessed with the draft. But yeah, I mean, I would love to bring Dennis Smith back, and then also kind of going back to the Taj Gibson one real quick. I mean, I would love that trade because obviously you're moving off of the money down the road, but also Taj. I mean, he has so much experience. Like going back to his time with Chicago, I mean, he was on a good Chicago team, and so he's got a lot of experience. He's got kind of that like bruiser mentality. So yeah, I would be open to both of those things.
Great. Your trade idea reminds me of my trade idea of sending 31 to Andula Efes in the EuroLeague for the rights to Rodrigue Beaubois.
Oh yes. Is that the? Wait, what?
It's not,
What are
it
you-
doesn't make sense
what are
because
you
you can't
talking
send a
about?
draft pick to a EuroLeague team. But
Oh.
I did think
Yeah.
about that a couple weeks ago, and I was like,
Free Roddy B.
I would love to trade for Roddy B.
I was
I know we
playing.
can't, but
It's off topic. I was playing Halo last night, and someone in
always
the
on topic.
lobby was named Roddy Bobois 3. They misspelled his name, I'm
out.
pretty sure, but
Damn.
so which ones you said you did? Nets and Sixers?
Yes, I did Nets and Sixers.
All right, so my Nets trade is not boring, but there's not a lot to it. I really like it though. I see Jalen Brunson as our highest like trade chip. Obviously Tim Hardaway is the better player and has the better contract, so teams might go for that more. But I think we can replace Jalen a lot easier, especially if we keep Trey Burke and as long as Luka and Seth keep doing their thing. But for the Nets, I have Jalen and 31 for someone I really liked last year. He was a rookie in Claxton.
Ooh,
Like that one?
interesting.
So I wanted to
Yeah.
get. So the Mavs conversation all week has been, and Sean tweeted. I think Sean tweeted or retweeted this. It was a poll saying, "Do you want Spencer Dinwiddie? Who are the other two? Drew Holiday and
Drew Holiday
Depot?
and
Depot." Yeah,
Depot. Yeah.
and I think Depot and Drew Holiday are obviously the better players, but Spencer Dinwiddie would be such a good fit with Rick Carlisle and such a good fit with the system we play. And you would, I don't think you would have to. I don't know why the Nets would give us Spencer Dinwiddie at all, unless it was a multi-team deal. But in a trade where you acquire Spencer Dinwiddie, you would not have to get rid of Tim Hardaway Jr. And if you get Depot or Levine or Holiday, you would definitely have to get rid of Tim Hardaway Jr. So I tried to make a Dinwiddie trade work, but nothing made sense. So I went with the Claxton trade.
Interesting.
I took a shot at a Dinwiddie trade.
Okay. I mean,
it might be a little.
I have trades that make sense, but none of them make sense for Brooklyn.
It doesn't make sense for Brooklyn, but I just wanted to give it a shot because he was like, people were talking about him a lot. And also, I want to point out this was a conversation we had before we like officially started this when we were just talking. But like, I do think there's a disconnect between like you said, like Oladipo is best and Drew Holiday are objectively better than Spencer Dinwiddie, but that doesn't mean that they're necessarily the better players to trade for because like Dinwiddie's just going to be significantly cheaper. And I think a lot of people like they see three big names and they think, oh, well, who's the best big name? And it's like, well, they're going to cost the most. And we probably don't have what it takes to get a Levine or an Oladipo or we could probably get Oladipo, but Drew. But anyway, my offer and my rationale for this was that the Nets would actually prefer a lot of cheap depth pieces to a Tim Hardaway because they're just a thinner roster and have a lot of high contracts. So if they could get cost control players, that would actually be preferable than like one better good shooter. So I did Spencer Dinwiddie for Dorian Finney-Smith, Justin Jackson, Jalen Brunson, and the 18th pick.
I love it, but it hurts to let go of DFS, but I love that.
Yeah, that was really tough to include, but I was like, I got to give something to get something, Yeah. But I thought, all three are super cheap players. Brunson's under contract for 2 years. He could fill in the backup point guard role. Finney-Smith's under contract for 2 more years at $4 million piece, which is just an insane contract. We did such a good job.
I think he would still start there. Like if the trade you just said goes through, I think that he's still a starter in the Brooklyn Nets.
I mean, a guy plus they shed a little bit of it looks like it's about equal salary. So, but you could probably go over and keep Joe Harris, and then you got a Kyrie, Joe Harris, Dorian Finney-Smith, LeVert, Durant, and Jared Allen. I guess that's 6 guys, but like makes you really deep, and then you have the 18th pick. So you can pick a guy you like,
or make another move.
I can see them doing that.
For the Mavs, it's obvious. I mean, it hurts losing Finney-Smith, hurts losing Brunson, but if you're getting Dinwiddie, then it really doesn't hurt to lose Brunson. I mean, like you said, it hurts losing Dodo, but like, I think you take your chance on a mid-level exception guy to like kind of replace his role and you just see what you can do next year with that.
What do you think about all that, Lauren?
Oh gosh, it's so Spencer Dinwiddie. I feel like there are a couple of layers to my answer, so bear with me. But I think when it comes to Spencer Dinwiddie, or I guess when it comes to Brooklyn, I think they have their eyes on Dinwiddie, Jared Allen, and Karis LeVert and kind of packaging those together for someone bigger like Bradley Beal or something like that. So I feel like that's maybe where their target is. But if they feel like maybe they just can't get there on a negotiation, or maybe they're not willing to add future picks or whatever, which I don't know why they wouldn't do that. But in this hypothetical, whatever the case may be, if they can't get that done, I think this is a very favorable trade for them because I mean, Sean, you and I have, and even Grant, you and I have talked about the draft and how there are very capable players at all sorts of different levels of the draft. And so if I'm a team, I mean, getting draft picks in a I guess, questionable draft, which might sound counterintuitive, but I mean, I'm all for that because I think if you trust your scouts and stuff, then you can bring in another quality player or at least someone that can provide some sort of role that you don't already have. And so if I'm the Nets, bringing in Dorian Finney-Smith, Jalen Brunson to kind of replace the bench role that you're losing from Spencer Dinwiddie, backup guard role. I mean, I would be okay with that. Obviously, Dorian Finney-Smith brings the perimeter defense, and having Kyrie and even Karis LeVert and KD, who are more offense oriented like that, I think that would be huge for them. So personally, for us, it's so hard for me to move off the picks. And so if it's up, like even though I know people are like, who cares? This draft sucks. I know some people think that, but I don't think that. And so I don't want to move off of the picks. I really don't want to move off of Dorian because that contract is so fantastic.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
And I also keep coming back to, if we move off of Brunson or Maxey, like those two players, I feel like if you move off of one of them, you need to move off of both of them, and it needs to be for a bigger target. Like, I'm not really willing to just move off of one of them for someone that I feel like can raise the floor a little bit. Does that make sense? I'm willing to move off. I'm more willing to move off of whoever and however many of our group or supporting cast, maybe I should say, if it means bringing in kind of like a more third piece. And I actually, on Twitter, I responded to this guy who asked the same question, Depot, was it Depot? Oh, Depot, Levine, or Spencer Dinwiddie. And my answer was Spencer Dinwiddie because I think he fits the roster the best over those other two guys. But I don't know what – I don't want to have to give up too much, but I know you got to give up something to get something. So I don't know. There's my answer.
He's not the defender that Holiday or Depot are, but he's way better. He's not better off the ball than Drew Holiday, but he's such a good off the ball player. Like, what we need is someone who can, and we pass the ball so much that it really wouldn't matter, but we just need someone who can just get ready to have the ball in his hands with 7 seconds left if Luka can't get something done, if Luka or KP can't get something done. Yeah, I just don't see a realistic way to get Dinwiddie, although I would be enthralled if we got him. So I went ahead and went with the safe Claxton pick. But Spencer Dinwiddie, if you're listening, I know Mark Cuban has a lot of Bitcoin. So the next trade, let's do Raptors since Sean has a trade for the Sixers, and I hate my trade for the Sixers. So I didn't really want any, like, the Raptors aren't going to give up OG. The Raptors aren't going to give up Pascal. They probably don't want to pay Fred VanVleet, so I went ahead and did a sign and trade with Fred VanVleet.
Ooh!
It got us Fred VanVleet. We get rid of DeLon. I think we only have to get rid of one of the picks, but maybe we have to go up two. So it's DeLon and one or both of the picks and Maxi Kleba. I hate losing Maxi, but Fred VanVleet's kind of like Dinwiddie, where he would be just so good on offense in Rick Carlisle's system. Like, we would bring the best Fred VanVleet possible to the court every night. Like, I think we could utilize him the best, especially if he was next to Luka, if he was next to Seth and Tim and all that. As long as you don't have to get rid of Tim, I think a Fred VanVleet trade would put this offense so far over the top. I just don't want to pay him that much.
Yeah, how much are you paying him?
I don't know. That's somewhere between 15 and 20 for 3 years.
That's a fascinating idea on a number of levels. For one, I think Toronto would probably have more interest in DeLon's contract than just about any other team because he's had a ton of success there.
Yeah.
And then
he was part of the Marc Gasol trade.
Right.
That's really interesting because Fred VanVleet had comments recently where he was basically like, I'm getting paid.
Yeah, get that bag.
And I'm sure that was the last thing Toronto wanted to hear.
Right.
So I would not be shocked if they were willing to, were just kind of had already decided internally, like, we're just going to let him walk. He's not in the plans. He's not important enough to us because they're another team that's going to be front of the line for Giannis because of his relationship with Ujiri. That's fascinating. And Fred VanVleet, like Spencer Dinwiddie, both Fred great defenders. I know you said that Oladipo and Drew are better defenders, and that's absolutely true because they're both like excellent defenders.
They're like
but,
all defense type defenders, especially Drew.
Fred VanVleet would come in and be our best perimeter defender right away. At least for guards, I mean.
Especially if you're
and maybe not like Dodo level, but like
no.
I mean, that would help a lot. Man, that'd be really interesting. And I think Carlisle would love him. He would be such a Carlisle guy.
Oh yeah, and I think the Raptors like this because, like you said, they know DeLon, right? They've seen his game, and they get him secured for 2 years. Obviously, how could you not love Maxey? And Maxey plays the way that Serge Ibaka and, well, to a lesser extent, Marc Gasol play. And I don't think either of them are going back to Toronto. So you get DeLon, you get some point guard depth to fill in the Fred VanVleet void. You get Maxey to fill in your big man void, and then you get one or two of the picks to either trade up or take whoever. I mean, Toronto's so good at developing players; it doesn't really matter who.
So good at drafting, and it's interesting because like I want to point out to the people at home, like that is not a fair trade, but like signing trades don't.
That's not how they work, right?
Like fair trades, yeah.
Exactly.
They're not like necessarily fair. And Fred VanVleet is someone I'd be very interested in, and this applies to Dinwiddie too. I'll compare him to like a Malcolm Brogdon, where, or even Kyle Lowry, where like he spent his entire career, yes, being like a primary guy, but also having to defer to another ball dominant guard. So he has experience coming into like a Luka type situation where he knows how to pick his spots. He can get his 15 points, but there's not going to be, I don't think there would be a big learning curve from, oh crap, I don't have the ball anymore. Luka's got the ball all the time, because that's kind of what he's gotten used to his entire career.
He'd probably prefer it.
Yeah. And those guys really, and it applies to Drew Holiday as well. Those guys really interest me because I do understand the hesitations of bringing in someone that is used to always being the guy, and then maybe they just can't adjust. But we know with those guys that they can't because they have.
Yeah, especially undrafted guy who spent time in the G League and then spent time next to Lowry, of course.
I'm a big Creighton fan. They used to be in the Missouri Valley, and Wichita State was in the Missouri Valley, so I always rep my Missouri Valley guys.
There you go.
Anything you would do with the Raptors, Lauren, that we're missing, or what do you think about the Fred VanVleet deal?
So the I actually really like that deal because all the points you made about why the Raptors would do it, because I feel like people might listen to that and be like, they would never do that. They're so much higher on Fred VanVleet. But again,
they're not keeping Fred VanVleet.
Exactly. They're not keeping him, and you don't get equivalent return on a sign and trade. That's just not how they work. And so if those are the pieces that they're getting back, I think the DeLon connection is really interesting because the fans really liked him. They were sad when he left in the Marc Gasol trade, and I think they really like as an organization, they really like him. So yeah, you're bringing in a lot of really functional players. You get the draft pick or picks, and then you kind of move off. Like that kind of solves your Fred VanVleet problem, and he's not just walking for nothing at that point because you weren't willing to pay him. And so I really like his fit with us. I think he'd be really fun to watch. I want to say he was on the Old Man and the Three podcast, and he said he doesn't feel like he's reached his ceiling because he hasn't been in a floor general type role yet, and he's ready to take that on. So as much as he was kind of, second to Kyle Lowry, I don't know how much interest he would have in being second to Luka, because I feel like he's kind of been there, done that. But then again, if he's kind of your secondary ball handler, but has a ton of usage in the offense, kind of going back to what you said, Grant, about how much we pass the ball and just the way our offense works. He could have no problem fitting in and putting up insane numbers and being a huge reason why we get, maybe a couple more wins each season. So I feel like the role might be a little bit different. He might not just be like a clear second tier to someone like Kyle Lowry and like now in our system with Luka. I feel like they would be a little bit more dynamic and play off of each other. So it might be a little bit different, but I don't know if he's sitting there like, man, I kind of want to go to New York when they've got nothing going on. I can cash out. I can be in the spotlight. I can be the floor general. So I just don't know where he would stand, but I would love it.
And that's that was the last point I was going to make. Just playing devil's advocate is, I would love this this move in theory, but I do think at the end of the day, it's just going to turn into some really bad team is going to be willing to pay him like
So
25
much
million
money.
a year.
Yep.
Yeah. And when Detroit comes calling and they're like, here's 3 for 80.
Oh,
Yeah,
boy.
oh no,
And
that's
Dallas is
awful.
like, well, we'll sign and trade for you, and we'll give you, like 3 for 60. Like he's gonna take the 3 for 80. Like
Yeah.
I just feel like we would lowball, probably not lowball him. We'd give him like offer him his like fair value, and like some really bad team, or even like a Atlanta who like doesn't need a point guard, but it just seems super
Right.
desperate to like sign somebody. I could see just being like, yeah, we'll give you 2 for 70. Like,
Yeah.
we'll just do something
Yeah,
crazy.
exactly.
Yeah, they won't. But
I mean,
like,
but
we'll do
that-
something
that's
crazy.
not-
Yeah. And then
I don't think that that's out of the question. And even in that comment that he said where he was like, I want to be the floor general, I was really interested in the way he phrased either the sentence before or the sentence after, where he said, I've won a championship, I'm ready to get the bag. And I just was like, oh shoot,
oh,
you're about to be like dang. Because I mean, I feel like people that, I mean, even if you want to cash out, I don't feel like you're going to come out and say, I don't really care about winning.
Yeah, I won a
just want-
championship.
you might try to at least get both. And so, anyway, sorry to interrupt you, Sean. I just thought that was,
No,
that was
you get it. I was
interesting.
done.
It's
Yeah.
good that you brought up Atlanta, because I just thought, like, right when you said Atlanta, I was like, they could put a nice package together for Fred VanVleet.
Right. They
Like-
could.
Yeah, and they seem to be like Atlanta. I don't know what's happening in Atlanta right now. They like,
Either.
it seems like they're like, we just want to win next year. We don't care like how logical the move is. Like, we just want a guy that's really good at basketball.
Right.
And I guess I kind of understand that, but
I feel like
at the same time, like, I'm like, you're not the Knicks or the Kings. Like, I know Atlanta's not super successful, but it was like, y'all are in the conference finals like 4 years ago. Like,
No.
it's not like the end of the.
I mean,
Like, y'all
none
don't
of
have
the
to be, like,
players.
jumping ship. Just you
Yeah.
got good young players. I'm just kind of surprised at their urgency, like right
Exactly.
now, especially considering like I don't think the East is gonna completely suck next year like
No,
it
not
usually
at all.
does.
I mean, you got Brooklyn like next year. They
Yeah.
were still a
Brooklyn's
fringe
back.
playoff team, and now they're adding. Sorry,
Philly should
Lauren,
at
but they're
least be
adding one
a
of the best
little
point
less
guards in
weird,
the league.
Like,
Yeah.
and a lot of teams getting better. Boston's getting better. Indiana should still be good. Like,
Oh, who knows?
I don't know how they break into that.
But yeah, let's. So, I absolutely hate this trade, and like, I think I would do it, but I wouldn't. Like, I wouldn't be like happy about it, but like, I would do it because it makes a lot of sense. For the Sixers, I have. Oh wait, yeah. For the Sixers, I have. Actually, Sean, let me hear yours first.
Okay. I think I'm lowballing the Sixers on this one, just looking at it. But this is what I came up with. Josh Richardson for Brunson, Justin Jackson, and the 32nd pick. And part of the rationale was that, and I know this is a very small amount of money to cut, but that cuts 4.1 mil for Philly. And I think that they're in like insane deep cap hell right now.
Oh yeah.
And I do think Brunson would be very valuable to them. Although, just looking at this trade now, like Josh Richardson's probably too good for them to take this.
Yes. So mine is actually very similar. Well, it's not similar at all, but we do have two things that are the
Similar, but
same.
not similar at all.
Brunson and J-Jax are in mine, but I decided to go absolutely berserk and help them out with that cap hell.
No.
And this hurts me. All right, this might hurt me more than it hurt y'all. All right, I promise. But I went ahead and threw THJ, Brunson, J-Jax, and one of the picks for Toby and Shake Milton, because I love some Shake Milton.
Wow. Interesting.
But normally I wouldn't
love
trade. I would not
Toby
trade.
gets thrown into trades because I just think it's so fascinating.
I would not. I would normally never trade Tim Hardaway Jr. for a shooter, because that is the silliest thing
Yeah.
ever. But Toby can do so much on offense, and I think we would be the team that really helped him. We'd be the team that helped cover up his awful defense, because that's what we do. And he's a consistent enough, or he's a great shooter, but he's a consistent enough offensive player. I think the floor would just open up more for him here with KP and Luka than it would anywhere else.
Absolutely. Yeah.
And then
So-
also getting Shake would be awesome because everyone in DFW loves Shake Milton.
Yeah, he's a man. Kobe is he's such a fascinating conversation to me because like here's a guy who like all-time locker room guy. He just seems like the nicest, most lovable person. I mean, he's like Boban's like best friend, so like that speaks for itself. He's really good, still young. Everyone loved him, and then he gets this big contract, which is like a bad contract objectively. And then on top of that, gets the contract playing for a team that is like as poor a possible fit for him. Like when they got Al Horford in there, like he just can't do what makes him good because there's no room for him to do what makes him good.
The thing is, oh sorry, go ahead.
Oh no, and so it's just fascinating because like Dallas, I do think would be like one of the better fits for him. I just think he would fit in. That kind of player playing at the 4, I think is exactly the kind of player you'd want playing next to Kristaps if you want him like holding it down at the 5 long term. Maybe you'd want a slightly better defender, but like as far as like what he can do with the ball and like his skill set, I think that's like the player you want. But it's just so interesting because people are like he's viewed as a super untradeable asset, which I understand because of the contract, and it's so hard to reconcile. Like, would it be smart, or are you just like, are you outsmarting people by getting him and like maximizing his value again, or are you like just if it doesn't work, are you locking yourself into a roster that doesn't work, and now you're the team that traded for Toby, and no one else is going to trade for him.
You're the team that traded for him.
So my Lauren, do you have anything on that? On the Sixers, Toby?
Yeah, the Toby trade, it's really hard because I agree that he would be fantastic with the offense. I cannot get on board with the contract. Even if it were like, let's say if it were upwards of like he was making $30 million plus a year, like he is currently, but for only like 2 more years, I might be like, okay, I would maybe, but it's just all the way until 2024. I just can't do it. I do think that he would be, like I said, I think he'd be great with the offense, but I can't. I mean, you're really kind of backing yourself into a corner there, and with how long you're signing up for that contract, I mean, that's your move. You know what I mean? Like, that is your third piece, upwards of $30 million, making more than anyone else on the team. It just, I can't commit to it when I feel like there might be other options down the line. I don't know what that would be, but I don't know. I feel like I'm all about like the flexibility and being able to move off of something if need be. And I just don't know that you can do that with Tobias Harris. So it's hard because obviously the Toby Bobby thing, he's still only 20, he's only 27, 28, but I don't know. I can't, that's a lot of money. That's a lot of money.
Yeah.
My thinking was like, when he got traded to Philly, they obviously had Jimmy Butler, Ben Simmons, and Embiid, and they were so good. Like they only lost like 5 or 6 games when he got traded there till the end of the season. He didn't do great in the playoffs, but they still only lost to a Kawhi Leonard like bouncing buzzer beater.
Yeah,
so,
right.
I mean, I just think we can unlock his potential, and I think the Sixers are going to have a way easier time moving off him than Horford. Unless the Kings are really that crazy. But yeah, so that was my thinking behind the Sixers trade.
Yeah,
the Celtics trade is my favorite. So I've said this whole time, like, I Dorian Finney-Smith and Maxey, you will have to pry out of my dead hands because I don't want to give up. They're our entire defense, and I don't want to besides KP, and I don't want to give them up. But the Celtics are in a very tough situation. They need depth badly. Like, it was so obvious in the bubble that they had 4 players when Gordon Hayward showed up. four players whenever, he wasn't able to play. So this would never happen in a million years, and Celtics fans would burn the AAC to the ground, I think. But I went ahead and traded Dorian Finney-Smith and Maxi Kleber for Marcus Smart. I am the biggest Marcus Smart fan in the world. I've had a Marcus Smart shirt since like 2015. So he's got I-35 tattooed in his arm. He obviously loves it here. He's from Flower Mound. Played at Oklahoma State. Yelled at a racist Texas Tech fan. I mean, what more could you ask for?
The whole package.
More? He's the whole package, yeah. And he's the best Giannis stopper in the league, and he's about a foot shorter. And that's just the most fascinating thing to me. He's so intense on defense, and he would literally be one of my favorite players ever. He is one of my favorite players ever. So to see him in blue would be very, very pretty. What do y'all think about Marcus Smart for Dorian and Maxi?
I would definitely do that.
You might have to include a couple picks because, I mean, Boston definitely wants
Right.
picks, and they already have 5. So you give them like 6 or 7, they're definitely going to make a big move, and Marcus Smart might be the only way they can get that done.
My disclaimer is like, I want to just please let everyone know that I love Dorian and Maxi like so much. Like I view them as like pieces of my family.
I have a Maxi jersey, so I'm with you there.
But oh my God, Marcus Smart is so good,
Yeah.
man. He's so good, and like as much as I love Dorian Finney-Smith and a lot of our other guys, and this really pains me to say this because I go to bat for our guys so hard. Like Luka makes a lot of our guys look better than they are, because it's just really easy to play with Luka, and I don't mean that to like take away from our guys, but like Marcus Smart, I think would right away clearly be our third best player, because I think he's a legit, like I think he's a role player plus, like he's another level up, and he's a guy that I think would, like everybody else in the Mavs, like you give him Luka to play with and a bigger role than he's had in Boston, because he's always been kind of on some weird rosters in Boston where they have a lot of guards and he's kind of fitting in where he can. I think he would take a significant jump here.
Oh yeah,
personally.
Yeah, and I mean the Boston plays such a crazy systematic defense that like he looks even better there. When you put him on a team that's like offensive oriented and he literally is in charge of the defense, I would be so thrilled to see what he would do.
Yeah.
I think Rick Carlisle would love a guy who would literally throw himself into the stands just to like get a loose ball with 2 minutes left in the half when you're up by 15.
He's a level of defender that I don't think we've had since like Marion and Tyson Chandler. I think he's that good of a defensive player. And that would just be too much of a weapon for me to pass up for Dorian and Finney. But also, I don't think Boston would do that.
Oh, no. Boston's not trading Marcus Smart. There's no way. If anything, they're moving off Gordon Hayward, but I didn't even want to go near that, so.
Thank you. Appreciate that.
I mean, it's an expiring deal, so, I'm always, like, looking for that, but 30, I think it's 34 mil. We don't have enough to even get to that number unless we
it's
get
like,
rid of Tim, and I'm not doing that.
Do we want to give Tim and someone else to get him? It's like, it's probably not
Enough
of an improvement.
Boston needs depth, so if they get desperate and want like literally every single one of our guys not named Dorian, Maxi, Tim, and the other good guys, like then yeah, sure, let's do it. But I don't really know why Boston would. Actually, Boston drafted Dwight Powell, so maybe they would be interested.
Maybe.
Lauren, do you hate it or you love it?
I love it. I'm assuming you're talking about Marcus Smart.
Yeah.
I really like it. Obviously, he's a Dallas guy, like Grant said. He would be absolutely perfect for this team. I feel like everybody is on board with that. I know people always say, I don't remember who tweeted it, and if it was one of you guys, I'm sorry, but somebody said you can name any single player in the league, and there will always be someone within the fan base that's like, I hate it. No, but I genuinely think Marcus Smart might be the exception to that, and so. We need the defense. We need the enforcer mentality. He brings that. 35% from 3 on 6.5 3-point attempts per game. And I mean, he was so great in Boston, or he is great in Boston, and I don't know. Everything that he would bring to this team would be kind of exactly what we need, and so the fit would be fantastic. I would be willing to give up just about anything for him. The picks, future picks, Maxey, DeLon, like whatever, because I mean, we talk about some of these players as trade targets, not Marcus Smart necessarily, but like Depot, all these other guys, and they're all offensive oriented. They may have some defense, but for the most part, we talk about them being secondary ball handlers and playmakers and even shot creators. But someone like Marcus Smart would just add intensity to the team and energy, and he brings something that those guys don't. So if you have to give up a little bit more to go make that happen, which again, I don't know, I don't see Boston doing it because I think they're still trying to make things work. Then I mean, I would be willing to give up whatever. But yeah, I don't know. I would be surprised if that were to ever happen. But
okay, let me throw out a little hypothetical for you guys.
Okay.
I guess it's not a hypothetical. It's just literally a question. Who's a player around the league that you would like us to trade for that has not been, to your knowledge, linked in trade talks whatsoever? And you can't say Marcus Smart. Okay, you say Capella.
Yes.
All
right. He would fit
Tell
so
me.
perfectly.
Okay,
so we pride ourselves on this like kind of 3-out. Luka has the ball, and we have a rim runner offense.
Yeah.
So Luka has the ball and gets a pick from KP. KP goes down to the mid range, and then you have Clint Capella rolling to the rim. Like it's like you said earlier. Luka makes all these role players look so much better.
Yeah.
Like Dwight Powell, Maxi Kleba, these guys are elite. They're in like the top 3%. Like they're the top 3 like rim runners in the league, and they are great rim runners. But a lot of it has to do with Luka. Clint Capella literally did that same thing with James Harden for his whole career, and he like it would just be so beautiful. And so my best the reason I want Clint Capella the most is because there were so many times last year where I saw a guard just blow by Kristaps on the wing, and as soon as you get by our best rim protector, then you're going to the rim. If we have KP playing his natural position and then you have Capella down low, or vice versa, one of those guys can get blown by, and then you're still gonna have a 7-foot rim protector down there. You have to get past. So he fits perfectly in the offense we run right now, even though he doesn't necessarily shoot. And he would change our defense so much from day one that I would do anything to get Clint Capella here.
Yeah, that's a great one. Lauren, you got one?
I'm sitting here thinking about it, and I for the life of me, I'm struggling because it's like, oh, if you could have anyone. So I'm struggling, but when I think about trade targets, I instantly try to either go to some like an athletic big to fit next to Porzingis, and I do like the Capella fit. But I also I try to think about that in terms of money and how much money you'd be locking up in your front court. And and so then I kind of switch to perimeter defenders like wings or guards, and my mind goes to Josh Okogie. And
oh, that's a good one.
I really like him. I really, really like him. I know he's not the best 3-point shooter, but he's just so good on defense. And I know he might not be in the same tier as someone like Clint Capella, but there were so many times when Dallas would play Minnesota, and I'm just watching him on defense, and I'm like, God, this guy just works so hard. And so, I mean, he's someone that I would like, and I just don't.
And they're kind of in a weird spot there with
Exactly.
him and Culver's, and they've already been talking about shopping Culver. I wouldn't be.
Right.
They're just very similar players that are both useful, but it's like hard to play them both together. So
And
I wouldn't be surprised.
They brought him.
And Malik Beasley. So I wouldn't be surprised if they moved off one, especially if they take LaMelo or Edwards. I mean, it's just another guy.
Exactly.
That's a good one. For me, 2 names I've been keeping my eye on ever since all the chaos started are Robert Covington and PJ Tucker.
Definitely.
PJ Tucker seems super pissed off. I mean, he literally said he's super pissed off. Yet for some reason, I have not seen one bullshit Twitter hypothetical trade with him involved in it, which is usually like the sound the alarm for trade machines.
Right.
That's kind of interesting to me. And he's old, but would like be really good right away and is super cheap. So that was an interesting one. The guy I'd rather have, who just had a press conference, who was super complimentary of Steven Silas. I feel like he's one of the only Rockets players that is not upset. It's like him and Harden, I guess. So that's a bummer. But I've wanted Robert Covington on this team for so long, since he was like rookie on Philly.
Yeah.
I think he would be perfect. They just traded 2 firsts for him, so it'd be hard to see them like just kind of go back on that so soon after. But also, you're shopping Russ. You have a new front office. You have a new coach. You may not have championship aspirations next year, depending on what all happens in the next few weeks. I would trade 18. I would include 18 and probably 32 in a heartbeat for Robert Covington, I think.
Me too.
That might be, I don't know if that's controversial or not, but I would, I just think he'd be so perfect. And he's also like, makes like $9 million a year or $10 million a year.
He's right at 11, yeah.
Yeah, 11. There it is. So it's like a very reasonable contract. He's under contract next year, which obviously hurts with free agency, but I would not care at all.
Right.
And it's small enough where it probably wouldn't matter.
Yeah,
you can trade off someone, or like if you need to, like Robert Covington on an $11 million expiring contract would be one of the easiest players to move for value in the league, you know. So those are kind of my guys. I'm keeping an eye on the Houston situation, because if they blow up and either of those guys become available,
it's a fire sale.
I hope we get involved.
I've seen Rocco in a couple trades, but not a lot. I've only seen PJ Tucker mentioned with it was on Step Back with Kirk, and Kirk brought it up. So he was like, I would take PJ Tucker, and I think he said Eric Gordon, but I know he said he wanted PJ Tucker if the Rockets blow it up. That's the only thing I've heard of them though. I
would like to go on the record as out on Eric Gordon.
Oh, I'm out on Eric Gordon too. It's just too much money, and I mean, I think we would maximize him for sure, and we would probably get everything we could out of him. But he's been injury prone his whole career, and he's older now. That's too much money. I wouldn't be. I wouldn't really want that.
Any crazy draft takes?
Crazy draft. Always.
Pokusevski is going to be the best player in this draft. I don't know when he's going to play in the NBA, but he's going to be the best player in this draft.
Mine was Poku too. I think I'm officially solidifying him as top 5 in my pick 4.
Oh my goodness! So when Mavs Draft first told me about him, we had just become friends, and I was texting him, or I was DMing him, and I was like, swing for the fences. Who do you want us to take? And he told me Poku, but he's probably not even going to get drafted. And this was in like December, and literally I've seen him climb so much. Yeah, I've seen him climb so much. It's crazy.
He's so good. Kirk. I don't know. Henderson is his last name. He had the Kirk enthusiasm. He had Cosmos on Brian Schroeder, and that was like the nail in the coffin for me, because apparently Brian Schroeder's got him like second on his board.
Oh my gosh.
So I was like, and I had him like 9th or 10th before I listened to the podcast, and I was like, you know what, screw it.
Top 5.
Push him up.
So my thing with him though is like, he's obviously got a teeny tiny frame. He's as skinny as me, and he's 7'10". So like I don't. It seems like no matter what happens, he's going to end up staying overseas, which I don't really understand. Like, I would get it if you went in the second round or if you went late in the first, but he's getting pulled up on so many of these mock drafts. Like, if he actually goes in the lottery, why would you stay overseas? It doesn't make sense to me.
Yeah, and I would prefer, like, I don't think he would play a lot rookie year, but I would prefer, even though like I do think there's a ton of value in keeping players overseas, but in his situation, like, I'd almost just want him stick him on the G League team, so I know I can be in charge of his strength and conditioning, because that's like the number one thing that matters, In
a normal year, I'd agree with you, but from what I read yesterday, it seems like the G League is going to do like a bubble thing. So I'd kind of rather him.
That's a
I'd
good
kind of,
point.
I'd
That's a
kind of
good
rather
point.
him be like, why don't you stay away from America until we get this
Yeah,
figured
maybe
out?
stay in a country that
Yeah.
has far less
If
cases.
he's not gonna
Yes.
play, if
not
he's
a
not gonna
fourth
play,
of all active cases in the world.
if he's not gonna be around KP and
Yeah.
Luca, then I'm not in really any rush to like bring him over. But
Yeah,
I
that's a
mean,
good point.
I would do anything for Poke.
All right, I want to learn what's your wildest draft pick.
Oh, my wildest draft pick.
Pick
Oh,
whatever,
take.
however you want to view it. Just
So-
I want to be surprised.
I have to throw this out there just because it's something that I keep looking at and I can't ignore mentally. So everyone knows I look at Tankathon, or if you don't know, I mention it all the time. And I'm sorry for whatever amount of times I've said it. But anyway, so if the Mavs trade up in the draft, I keep saying that they're going to go around 10.
Mm-hmm.
And right now, Killian Hayes per Tankathon is mocked at 10. And I don't know how you guys feel about Killian Hayes, but oh my God, if we got Killian Hayes, I would be so happy. Because as much as I would prefer Okongwu, maybe even Obi Toppin, Killian Hayes as your secondary, and I know, okay, you're going to immediately insert him into the starting lineup. What? I feel like he could work his way into the starting lineup because he can score. His passing is outstanding. He has a gnarly step back. I just really like Killian Hayes, and I don't really know that he's the best fit. Like even Halliburton might be a better fit because of the defense, but I just think I really like him as a prospect. And so if we move up to 10, let's say 10 because Phoenix is just continuing to be in discussions. If you move up to 10 and Killian Hayes is available, and let's just say like Okongwu, Toppin, Halliburton are all off the table, I want the Mavs to take Killian Hayes. I do. And if that happens, I may be the only one that's happy, and I'm fine with it.
Oh, you will not be, Lauren. I think you and Brian are gonna both hate and love my board when we do this draft show because we'll just say I'm still playing around with a little bit of the order, so I don't want to say for sure, but I can guarantee you that Killian Hayes will be top 3 on my board, and it would be as high as 1 possibly.
What?
That's why I'm so mind blown.
I know
he's
that's
he's
crazy,
fine.
but I also want to throw out the disclaimer. I honestly view 1 through 12 on my board as like the same tier, which is like madness in any other draft, I think. But like I have Tyrese Halliburton 12th right now, looking at it, and there are definitely teams in the top 5 where I would be like, yeah, you probably should take Tyrese Halliburton instead of Killian Hayes. And like I just said, Killian Hayes is my top 3, so it's like it's really weird, but.
I know what you mean.
And I agree with you. I don't think Killian Hayes is like a seamless fit with the Mavs compared to some other guards, but I just like him the most of the guards, I think.
Yeah,
so
same.
I'm sorry to sound like a noob, but where does Killian Hayes go to college? That's how I know everybody.
He's an overseas man.
He's international, baby.
He's not.
French.
RJ plays
He's a
for
Frenchman.
Oh, okay. The French have been producing some quality basketball players over the last
Dude, France
5 years.
is gonna be
He's so
nasty in a couple.
Sekou
cups.
is my baby. Like I cannot wait for Sekou to just start 70 games next year and just absolutely take the league by storm.
Do you guys know the legend of Victor Wembanyama? Yeah.
Oh, he's Poku on. I don't want to say steroids because he's just a skinny, but he's Poku on like a whole different level. He's an actual big man, whereas Poku's like a guard that is huge.
You guys do realize the next, or not the next Olympics because we're about to have one, but the one after that, their starting 4 and 5 will be Victor Wembanyama and Rudy Gobert. I don't know how you could ever possibly score a point
With Sekou at point.
Those 2 guys. Yeah, with Sekou playing the 3. And like Frank playing the 2. Oh my gosh, it's gonna be scary.
I'll have to look.
They may never score a point, but I don't know if anyone's ever gonna score a point against them.
Yeah. All right. Well, thank y'all for coming on. I'll have to do more draft research because I'm probably gonna be around for y'all's super fun locker room app party.
It'll be fun. You
can follow Lauren at L Gun with 4 N's, and you can follow Sean Bush at Sean Bush 3. I've been meaning. I've talked to Lauren. We talk a lot. I've been meaning to talk to Sean forever though, because he's 5 days older than me, but we've both been Mavs fans for so long. We aged like we've aged a lot more. We're wise beyond our years.
Yeah.
So yeah, you
a lot of
can
heartbreak.
definitely be sure to if you're listening, definitely download the Locker Room app this Wednesday. It's gonna be a lot of fun. I should be around for it. I don't think I have anything else going on. Locker Room app is super fun. Like I have fun with it all the time. Lauren, I have to tell you a story about what happened.
Oh, Yesterday?
Yesterday, Lauren hosts a show called The Gunshot every Tuesday and Friday at 1 hour time. And yesterday was like the craziest episode I've ever heard. Like, I don't know.
Got a little chaotic.
It went from like Russell Westbrook and like what's going on in today's NBA to who is a better Minnesota Timberwolf at their peak between Kat and Kevin Love. I don't know how it got there. It just got there.
I don't either. I don't either.
And like Lauren was like, it went on for like an hour and 20 minutes. It's like how long it usually goes on. Lauren's like, all right, guys, I gotta head out. I'm gonna make someone else the host. So she makes me the host, and I'm playing
Sorry.
2K. I'm playing 2K. Like I'm listening, but I'm like not, I'm not trying to host like a whole locker room session right now. So she goes, I'm making Grant host, and y'all have a good night and everything. So she makes me host, and right away I go, I'm just sitting there like, okay. So I was like, welcome everybody to the Jaren Jackson fan club meeting. This is going to be a new weekly show. And no one laughed. Like, no one said a word. Everyone just, like, left.
God.
So I was like, okay, I'm ending this. So, you can also hear them both on the Blue Hardwood podcast. Sean was their last guest. Definitely check that out. You can find it anywhere podcasts are available. I just want to thank y'all again for coming on. Y'all are super fun, and I enjoy talking to y'all.
Can I make a plug real quick?
Oh, plug, go.
Hear it.
Go crazy. I'm doing the intro separate though, so like I'll get a lot of it in there. But yeah.
Awesome. I actually just recently in the last couple months started a little podcast and website with some of my buddies called Ball Things Considered.
I heard the first
love it.
episode. I heard the first episode.
Yeah. Credit to my cousin John Sabine on the name. Lord knows John. But yes, you guys should check it out. We got draft coverage. We do some other sports too, like college football. It's not really a Mavs website. It's just mostly NBA in general. But yeah, it's 5 guys, and we just like talking hoops. So if you like basketball and are tired of hearing me yell about the Mavs, want to hear about other teams that are important, you should check it out.
I think I speak for everyone on NBA Twitter when I say I don't think we could ever get tired of hearing you talk about hoops, buddy.
For sure.
Stop it. Cut it out. You guys.
All right, have a good night, everybody.